Hey guys, so this is one of the most requested videos that I've got so far, and that is how to start into powerlifting, or how do I transition into powerlifting. And I talk a great deal about programming and why it's so important, and most of you want to know what my thoughts would be on this. And obviously everybody cannot afford me, and I don't have the time to help everybody out, but this video will be like a very general video to help especially the beginner from Nepal. And because we have a different culture of fitness in Nepal, and I would understand it more than everybody else because I've been in the industry for a while. And like internetमा धेरैवटा भिडियोहरू छ, but we don't know which one to choose. So this is my best attempt to make it as Nepali as possible, and especially in Nepal, and in fitness industry in general all over the world. So this is my best attempt to make the perfect video for everybody who wants to get into powerlifting. Alright, so uh, why I'm making this video is because like almost all of you know that I am anti template. Not that there is nothing wrong with it, but it's a very simple solution to a very complex situation. For example, like everybody needs like a different dose of volume, a different dose of frequency, different dose of intensity, and the information which is out there in the internet is mostly, I'm not saying like everything is bullshit or whatever, but it's mostly from lifters that are great. So lifters at the highest levels. If you talk about bodybuilding, there is program about Jay Cutler's training program. There is program about, maybe let's say, Sheko. There's program from like all the like very famous, very big, strong individuals. And the same training program will not apply to us because they have a bigger cross-sectional muscular area, they're stronger, they have more number of training years under the belt, and all those sort of things. So those training programs are great training programs for some individuals, but for the beginners or even intermediate athletes, that could be overwhelmingly high training volume per session, and may not be the most ideal situation. Because I've seen training programs written by those guys on athletes like us, like more beginners, more intermediate athletes. And they're completely different. They focus on the basics, they focus on all the things that I'm going to talk about, and even maybe better than what I would personally write for somebody else. But so with that being out of the way, let's talk about things that you should be focusing on as a beginner. So first things first, focus on technique. So it's a sport. Powerlifting is a sport, so you want to be able to focus on your technical efficiency more than putting weight on the bar. So build body awareness, develop good work capacity. So work capacity basically means like धेरै गर्नु सक्ने ability. So it's like sort of stuff in simple words. So most of the people, when they think about powerlifting training, they think about putting 1 rep max on the bar, which is true, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you always have to do 1 rep maxes. But the work capacity, the foundation of the building has to be there. So the foundation of building is your ability to perform the movements properly, and then having the stamina, to be able to do a lot of those movements. So that should be the foundation. Training should be progressively always getting heavier for beginners. Building a base is very very important, and it doesn't mean that you have to max out every single time. And by that I mean like 1 rep maxes require a lot of technical efficiency, a lot of technical prowess, a lot of muscles that involve in doing the 1 rep maxes need to work together. So when you are a beginner, I would say like 6 months or less, there's no point in doing a 1 rep max, just because that's not really your 1 rep max in the first place, because you don't know how to move properly. And then since the technical efficiency and your work capacity, your base is not strong yet, it could lead to potential injuries, which is not good, especially when you're a beginner, because when you're more advanced, then you will run into problems no matter how good your technique is or whatever it may be. So the first things first, take it as a sport. So powerlifting is a sport. So if you're playing football, if you're playing basketball, you practice the movements more often. So basically meaning like आज एक दिन football खेलेर rest of the day. You don't play basketball to make yourself better in football, right? So powerlifting मा पनि the same principle applies. So हाम्रो bodybuilding scene मा normally it's like एउटा मसल गऱ्यो अनि लाइक स्क्वाट भनेपछि लेग होइन. सो लेग्स गऱ्यो अनि त्यसपछि यु वेट फर another whole week to recover or whatever it may be, and you don't do squat for one whole week. So that could be problematic when you're doing powerlifting sort of training. So I would recommend higher frequencies, so at least 2 times a week for squatting, and then 2 times for each and every lift, or even 3 times just for the sake of practicing. Because first, a beginner lifter will not cause so much stress that it would take him or her one whole week to recover from that training. So that's point number one. And then if you're doing more training frequency, that means you're practicing the sport more, so you're getting better in how to squat, right? Or how to bench, or how to deadlift, or whatever it may be. Even if you just squat once a week, and you think you're not recovered enough, that means you're basically just doing too much volume. So you need to do less work but make it more. So powerlifting भन्नु साथै, like, we just think about moving the weight, and which is true. It's all about moving the weight from start position to the end position, but our main goal as a powerlifter is still to be able to build the most amount of lean body mass in our body, so we can express them through strength. So the first goal is always to build more muscle. So having a higher training frequency, especially in beginners, is better for achieving higher lean body mass as well. I would normally recommend 3 to 4 full body sessions a day, like either 3 days every day, full body 3 times a week. Or if it's if you want to do upper lower, then 4 days ठिकै हुन्छ. Upper body, lower body, upper body, lower body. But like, even when you're doing upper body, you can put in like a squat inside there, and then when you're doing lower body, you could have bench press or something, but more focus on the muscle on the upper and lower. But powerlifting movements you can have in there like every other day. So with that everything out of the way, I will talk more about how exercises you want to put in the training program. So for a beginner, I would recommend using a linear progression system. So linear progression basically means you keep adding weight every other week. So every week you add some extra weight to the bar. So for example, in this particular case, I've given 2 fixed rep ranges in which you will be wanting to add weight. So it's a upper body setup with SBD days on upper body ones and SBD days on lower body ones. So that will make it 4 full body training sessions a week. So both the SBD days are one day in 6s, and the other day it's divided into 12s. So let's say day 1 ma, this is day 1, so we will be starting with 6s. So the heavier training of the week is earlier in the day. So we've got 3 sets of 6 for squat, bench press, and deadlift. So let's say hypothetically we can do 40 kgs for squat, 20 kgs for bench, and 50 kgs for deadlift. So you're a beginner, right? So how much ever we do this in the week 1, and then we just track it down however you want to, and then follow that up with vertical pull. So vertical pull bhanepachi, it can be pull-ups, it can be lat pull downs, it can be banded pull-ups, close grip, wide grip, whatever it may be. Vertical pull downs, 2 sets, blah blah blah. Horizontal pull, we'll do barbell rows, we'll do dumbbell rows, pen lay rows, all those sort of different rows, chest supported rows, all those things, and arms after that. And then day 2 will be like a lower body session. So basically meaning leg compound bhanepachi, either squat or not squats, either it can be lunges, it can be leg press, it can be hack squat, whatever it may be. Follow that up with quad isolation. So isolation bhaneko leg extension, quad raises, all those. Hamstring isolation, glute ham raises, lying leg curl, banded leg curl, seated leg curl, all those stuff. Core exercises, I want you to choose something heavy that you can do about 5 reps. All those sort of things. In calf, maybe 5 sets of 10 to 12 reps. And then this is another big day now. So day 3 is 12s and lower body. So 12s bhanepachi we'll do squat, bench press, deadlift again, but 12 reps this time. and whatever weight we use, we track it down. So let's say for squat we can do 30, bench press 15, and deadlift, let's say 42.5. We do all these numbers, and then again quad isolation, hamstring isolation. The day is over. Day 4 again will be upper body day. So we do overhead presses, horizontal pull, vertical pull. You know what horizontal and vertical pull is. For overhead day, you can do Arnold press, push press, strict press, seated shoulder press, whatever, anything overhead. Vertical pull, all those by Alio. Upper body isolation, maybe like upright row, maybe chest flies, maybe pullovers, any of those things. Arms and calf, we do all those stuffs. So that's about week 1. So week 2, what do you do? So week 2 we go back to day 1 again, and we do the exact same thing, but here instead of 40 kilos, now we want to go up in weight. So maybe 42.5, and then for bench as well, same thing, maybe 22.5. Deadlift, maybe it was too easy last week, and then we go up to 55, something like that. And then you follow the same sequence for all the exercises, and then here as well you go up in weight. Now you keep doing the same cycle over and over and over again till you cannot add more weight for the given rep ranges. So that is 6 and 12. So if you cannot add more reps, if you cannot add more weight to the bar, then it is the end of this training block. So after this, we don't have any other choice but to go down to another training block, which is of 4s. So let's say hypothetically we finished this training block at this weight and we cannot add any more weight from there. So 42, 22 and 55. But if we make it 45 here, if we make it 45 here and 25 here, we cannot do any more reps. So yesto bhayeपछि चाहिँ we want to move to another training block, which I call it 4 and 8s here. So now यसबाट धेरै add गरेपछि त we can now do 4 reps because it's still adding weight. So we can go ahead and put in like 45 and then 25 and then 60 or how much ever it may be, and then we keep doing the process again over and over again like that. Kind of makes sense. So that's basically how you would start as a beginner lifter. So you start up here and then you do all these movements, and then you go back to 4s and 8s again. So each of these blocks should be at least 4 weeks long and maybe go up to 8 weeks. These 2 training blocks will give you roughly around 8 to 16 weeks worth of gains. So before I move on to the rules of training program regarding the intensities and kati rep karne, all those sort of things, if you're interested, fill the form out on the video description and I can email you the 2 remaining blocks to you directly via emails, because it saves me time for this video and I also get to help out who's really interested in making gains. So with that being said, let's move to the rules of the videos. Assistance movements, right? I told you can do vertical pull, horizontal pull, arms, but throughout a mesocycle. So throughout the time you don't plateau in one training block. So 3 sets of 6 you are doing lat pull down. I want you to continue to do the same exact movement, but obviously adding weight without changing the assistance movements. But when you move into 4s and 6, then wide grip lat pull down, so when you can make it close grip lat pull down, so that isn't a problem. Why I don't want you to change is just because there are a lot of things you don't need to understand. The video is going to be long again, so don't change the exercises. It's a rule. I'm your guru. For all the exercises, I want you to be, except for the squat, bench press, deadlift, except on the first day, all the other exercises I want you to be at 2 RIR. So meaning you leave 2 reps in reserve. So if the most you can do is 10 reps, I want you to stop at 8 reps, something like that, for all the rep ranges, right? So that is kind of it about the training program. Other considerations would be, unless you're obese or overweight, don't care about your weight, don't care about building abs right now. Building a good base and learning how to use correct movement pattern is the most important things right now. The abs will obviously not look good if you don't have enough muscle mass to begin with. So unless you're obese, overweight, like you're overweight, you know when you're overweight. So unless you're overweight, I wouldn't recommend to start a cut, but eat enough protein. Protein through lean meats and eggs I would recommend, but obviously if you're a vegetarian, you can look into vegetarian sources of protein, no problem with that. Try to eat a lot of whole food, so nuts, seeds, vegetable, fruits, rice, whole grains, all those sort of things, healthy fats, avocados, butter is fine, cheese, milk, all those sort of things. Try to eat as much whole food as possible. You don't need to really focus on uh, supplements, because that's one of the things that people want to get into when they start uh, training or whatever. I don't know what it happens. It definitely helps, but for now I want you to rather be establishing healthy habits, eating at least 4 meals each with protein, sleeping on time, not missing training, auto regulate motivation. This is one of the most important things as a beginner, because 6 days a week, but if you start, then you don't know how to auto regulate your motivation. But if you're training 3 days or even 4 days a week, then you can have more flexibility and then go into the gym when you want to, because 3 days isn't too hard, but not being able to adhere to 6 days training program is big. And remember that it's that powerlifting, bodybuilding, any sport that you do is a process, and then it's a step towards that. You cannot take shortcuts to in order to reach where you want to be. Focus on self mastery, try to be the best version of yourself. As cliche as that sounds, it's so true. And that's basically it, guys. I hope you learned something from the video. If you do, please let me know. If you watch it to the end, please let me know. And this time I edited the whole thing from I'm attempting to edit the whole thing from my iPad, so let me know how that went as well, and I will see all of you in the next video.